This is a rib tracking exercise, and think of the ribs, each pair of ribs like a caliper. And what we're looking at across the back of her ribs here, you can see how narrow she is. When she inhales, what happens across the back of the ribs there? She's actually got a really nice lumbar curve right now. Feel that? And could use a little bit more length right here. See if you can lift. There you go. You can see that kind of lift her out of her ribs. So for diaphragmatic breathing, you're going to get hold of each side of her rib cage. Let's see, I'll get down a little bit here so you can see me more. Okay, usually I'm standing right behind them doing this, but I have to get off to the side for the video. Okay, now I'm going to get a hold of her rib cage here, and I'm compressing as she exhales. Now breathe into my hands. There you go. Good. And then letting go. Good. You can just relax them when you exhale. Now, as she inhales, I'm just lifting and widening to give her that sense of how these back ribs work. Very good. Go down under her floaters here. I have to sit straight behind her to do this because it's very hard to do on an angle. There we go. Oh yeah, that's better. Can you feel the difference in my touch? Yeah. Good. Very good. We could do this going through all the ribs, all the way up into her shoulders. And I'll be doing this with her lying prone. So breathing into these lower ribs really helps to, in a sense, offload a little bit of the upper body weight from the lower body. Do you feel that? You get more support in the upper body. Also, very important for her to breathe into the ribs, up into her armpit. So I'm going to put my hand here, and I got my fingers right across her serratus. And as she inhales, I'm turning my hand to give her that feeling of the lifting in the front. There you go. There you go. Feel that lifting of the sternum. So breathing up into the sternum. And then here's another way to do this on your own at home if you're having trouble. I'm going to bring you back just a little bit here to start to hyperextend. There we go. It's tricky. It's such a fine calibration posture. Is to wrap this around the ribs. And Dorina, you get a hold of that in front. And just breathe into that resistance of the band. That gives you a sense of those lower ribs expanding. Really push out against the band in your next inhalation. Like do a forced inhalation. There you go. There you go. Good. And I would recommend doing forced inhalations for a while just to get these lower ribs mobile. When a person tends to have a collapsed posture, really need some forced inhalation just to get the expansion of the lower ribs and to get the movement in the diaphragm. Just the opposite with a person who tends to hold up and be like super inflated. The collapse is called an exhalation fixation, and holding up is called an inhalation. So it's where the body gets stuck in a holding pattern along the breathing cycle. As I breathe in, if I never let my weight back down when I exhale. And then the collapse is never getting the total inflation of the lungs. One caveat, if you are really tight in your lower ribs and you tend not to use them when you breathe, as you do begin to breathe into your lower ribs, they might get sore. I've had this happen with several clients who were practicing these exercises. Another tip is this is a really great exercise to practice when if you're an insomniac like me and you're laying in bed at night and you can't get to sleep. You can just wrap your hands around yourself, give yourself a hug, and breathe into that lateral expansion of the lower ribs. And just doing the concentration, breath after breath after breath might help you fall asleep. So we're gonna work with Heidi to help her get her upper body over her lower body and to improve her base of support, and also to sort of organize this area of her body, which is a tension area. So this area is kind of sloped. Can you feel it? And there's a little bit of a rounding, which tells me that your upper rib, here I put my hands about where your first rib is on an angle. So we want to lift the upper rib. And to do that, I'm going to put my hand in your armpits. And you're going to have to just let your arms hang on my hand. Could you actually raise one arm to the ceiling so you can see where my hand is there? So what I'm doing is I'm palpating. I'm probably at about the fourth rib here, and I'm palpating it. And go ahead and bring your arms down. And I'm going to press into your ribs, Heidi. Let your arms hang, if you can, and try to breathe right into my pressure here. So you're getting more support in the upper ribs. Good, excellent. You feel the difference? Okay, now we're gonna turn so you're facing the back wall, and just turn your body so you can see this. So as she's lifting those upper ribs, I'm using my thumbs here to help her bring her lower scapula down. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that kind of a new feeling?
I feel it all the way from the pelvic floor.
Oh, wow, that's great. So she said she feels it from the pelvic floor. Good, good. Now can you feel how you're starting to lean back? That's the tricky part, is to lift the upper ribs, there you go, without tipping the whole thorax back. Good, you can really see that expansion. Now I'm going to take my arms out, hands out, and you see if you can find that on your own. If you need to, you can even put your hands up under your ribs where I had them. Nice. And let's do side view with that. So turn back to where you started. Good, excellent. That really lifted you up. Do you feel it?
What's that image flashing on the left?
I don't know.